at the end of myself and I'm tired. I've tried all that I know to do. Right now it's just by a thread, but I'm hanging on to you. I'm running out of hope. I need a miracle. And if I ever needed you, it's right now. Prayers I can pray, but I won't stop knocking till you open the door. You can move a mountain, you can calm a storm. I know you can, 'cause I've seen it before. Oh God, I'm desperate, down on my knees. Send help from heaven, 'cause that's what I need. Rethink this wreckage, restart my peace. I'm not asking, I'm begging. Lord, come through for me. I need heaven and I'm desperate, desperate. Oh, I need heaven and I'm desperate, desperate. Oh, I need heaven and and you're my only hope. I need a miracle. And if I ever needed you, it's right now. Oh God, I'm desperate, down on my knees. Send help from heaven, 'cause that's what I need. Rethink this wreckage, restart my peace. I'm not asking, I'm begging. Lord, come through for me. I need heaven and I'm desperate, desperate. Oh, I need heaven and I'm desperate, desperate. Oh, I need heaven and
Today's date is February the 20th, 2025. My name's Christopher James. It's a pleasure and it's an honor, and most importantly, it is my duty to be before my fellow man and woman here this evening. Our world is in peril, and as unfortunately, the opening video that I played, which is, people may know my background in the music entertainment industry as a recording engineer, producer, that is an incredible song that just came through me I just came across that over the last weekend, I guess it was, and it really resonated with me, because there's no question about this. You know, I've been at this for a very long time, and especially the last 4 years. You know, it's I'm not a desperate guy, but I am desperate for some type of an interaction to happen here, because what we're seeing unfold in our world here today, as I'm going to digress and show everyone here this evening, okay, there is massive theater going on. There is massive psyops that are going on in our world, and the very simple truth that I brought forward surrounding the courts and we accessing them correctly as we the people, that is the solution. And once we can get that en masse, that's the only way to move forward. So as that song says, I've done everything I possibly can to bring this truth out into the world or whatever. And they attack us. You look at Dr. William Mackis, he had his Twitter account, not that I bother with all that crap either, but he had his Twitter account, his X account, attacked earlier this week. 5 or 6 days it's going on now, and he still doesn't have it back. Right? And he's out there, you know, complaining, saying, you know, I got all 90,000 subscribers he's got in the world, right? Supposedly, and yet no one's stepping forward to help him with the IT side of it, right? So this is what we're faced with, right? They can drop anybody like a hammer, right? If they want to cut this stream off, they're going to cut it off or whatever. And eventually I'm probably going to have to just go to doing pre-records and just upload it. And if they attack the recorded version of it, well, then we'll just go and watch it on my platforms. That's the best way that we're going to be able to do this. But we have a very serious problem here. And the part that really upsets me is there's so much crap and BS that's on all these other platforms. It is off the charts. Ignorance is the enemy everywhere. There's a lot of people trying to do the right thing, but they are just repeaters. They are and anyone who speaks about Trump, do not support them and do not pay attention to anything that they're saying, okay? Because these people are ignorant, as I'm going to show you here again this evening. It's right in everybody's face of what is going on, and the solution, as I've laid out, is the only way forward. And simply, we need numbers. We need to be armed, because the only thing this evil understands is the barrel of a gun. And it's not going to get done with any kumbaya crap or any political theater. Definitely not using these maggots that are called lawyers, or a society called the Bar, that is the largest criminal organization in the world. Okay? I eat these people for breakfast when I have to deal with them. Okay? And I'm going to be able to show you something really shortly here. Somebody actually did something, like I said, it'll go to the video I'm going to play in a second here. But first, let me say this. I want to give a huge thanks for everyone for your continued support. The few of you that do support me and send donations, thank you very much. I don't ask for it, but I'm very, very grateful. I'm also very grateful for everybody that still continues to email Larry Brock and Mark Holland. You can go to my website. I can just show you here again quickly off the top here. I have to do this because this is what we have to keep up in the forefront, people. This is how we hold these people accountable. This is all evidence, okay? This is what we're doing. So this is my webpage, warcalls.com. I realize everyone, I'm pretty sure the choir has seen it before, but just scroll down here. This is the interview I did with the Emergency Global Death Dumps, and I might as well show you this as well. This just the first, it's on all my platforms, Rumble, BitChute, Brighteon. This went off the other day, the first international panel on geoengineering and weather manipulation. Now, there's some doctors there that I take issues with, but at the end of the day, there's common ground of what's going on here, and that's what we have to find right now. But I've let all these people know, if they start talking about legal, which they did too much in this interview here, all right, I'm going to bitch slap them, because enough is enough. We do not go down this legal route. We do not use these lawyers. We need to get our numbers up and get into that courthouse to access it, to handle things correctly. I'll get back to my website here. So my website here, you scroll it a little bit farther, and then you've got the document here for Larry King, the Honorable Larry Brock, who is a crock. All right, he's up to his usual crap, doing nothing. He's got close to 500 emails now, people. Him and Mark and Holland, the man who acts for a service corporation called Health Canada. They've not responded once to anybody. So let that be the evidence to everybody that these people you cannot trust. But eventually we're going to get these people. They're going to be brought into court. Because as far as I'm concerned, Larry's no different than Justin Trudeau. Okay? He's a corrupt little maggot that doesn't do anything except his little theater with his bar society and trying to rely on policy. And I guess because they figure that Parliament's been prorogued in Canada here, that, well, there's nothing that he can do, right? The guy's a bar member who's a past prosecutor, right? If he had any balls, if he had any brains, he'd be into that courthouse right now, moving a claim in court as, not that they have brains, as is some defense fund here that we're going to talk about here in a little bit here. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with you. Never forget about Masterpiece. Masterpiece is incredible. Like I said, I just showed the test results with Carolyn Mansfield a couple of weeks ago. God bless her. The results are off the charts, and I continue to feel absolutely wonderful. The other thing that I want to quickly show you here, I'll just put it up on the screen so that you've got it. I hope everyone's enjoying the lovely weather that we've had the last week or so here with the lovely snow. Hope everyone's getting in shape from shoveling it. Better than shoveling, you know what, with the parliamentarians and all them are always doing in the media. Anyways, all the evidence that COVID-19 was a lie is at bit.awc evidence. Please go there, download all the videos. The PDFs are there. Christine Massey, I meant to pull her video up. She's done a great thing as well again this week. She's got the government of Scotland, the Service Corporation, she's got them on the ropes as well. They've responded back that they have no records that they can respond about. The COVID-19 was isolated, purified. Okay? It doesn't exist, people. We all know that. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but for those of you that are new, might be hearing me for the first time, this is where the rubber hits the road. That's the only thing that matters. Okay, the only thing that matters in our world. Masterpiece, which I just showed you there, you can go to bit.ly AWC Masterpiece. You can log in there, set up. You can also be earning income yourself for it. Please use that link. That helps support me. If you're in Canada here, just reach out to me at warriorcalls@outlook.com, and I will do my best to get you product, okay? The relax saunas, I cannot talk enough about. I just got out of my sauna here a couple hours ago. I've got to just tell people, it's the only way. I'll just quickly show here, FLFE is net as well. The saunas, I've got the only deal in Canada. You can get it for $25.50 Canadian, all taxes in, shipping duty included to your door. And if there's any brokerage fee or any type of duty that you end up getting stuck with, Phil and them over at Relax Saunas will repay you for it, because there was a couple of problems with some people that did send some stuff. Not their fault, but Phil immediately stepped up and they refunded that man to honor that deal. And all I can tell you, the $25.50 is the best investment you can make for you and your family. Okay? I'm getting back my freaking abs here. I feel absolutely fantastic. Paul and Matt were all over me for probably 6 months. And FLF you want to talk about there too. The other sauna is the silver sauna, which I'll show everybody here. Just real quickly, I have to do this because it's important. I'm not pumping and dumping anything in our world right now, but what I'm showing everybody, most importantly, here's the FLFE. We'll show that here first. FLFE.net. The links are always down below in my descriptions. Please go there. This puts an EMF mitigation and protection over your house, for your family, for your plants, for your pets. It's wonderful. I've been on it for a year, and it's a little over a year now. And like I said, I told everyone you can go back and look at my streams, what happened when I first put it on. Like I said, I feel like I am 30 years old again, okay? I cannot begin to explain to everybody, after all these years of trying all these various different things and trying to eat healthy, trying to do the right things here and there, it is no question that between Masterpiece, between FLFE, and then between the Relax Saunas, it has changed my life. Okay, and I want nothing but that for everybody else, because we have to fight back with everything we possibly have in our world right now. These are the Relax Saunas. These are the two saunas that you can look at, the Black Pro and the Silver Elite. There's the Black Pro. Now see, that's $2,300 US. Go and do the calculations right now. It's $1.44 on the exchange rate, and I've got everybody for $25.50 to your door, taxes, duty, any brokerage fees in. And the Silver Sauna, which is the Silver Sauna, which is just as good. That's what Matt, and I got the black because it goes better with my decor in my room, and it's just a little bit more powerful as far as keeping the heat and that in. But this unit here, they're selling it there again for $1,700. I get it for $20.50 to your door, taxes, duty, and everything in. Okay, so like I said, you cannot look for a better gift for you, for your family. I'll tell you, it's just incredible. And all my clients that come here for Firefly, they love it as well while they're using it. So thank you for bearing with me. I have to say all those things because it is very, very important. Okay, let's continue on here, shall we? Let's jump right into this. I got first, let's lay this up for everybody, okay? That first video that I played, Desperate, I am desperate. I am desperate for some type of an intervention here, okay? Something has to happen here. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I continue. That's where she's saying, you know, knocking on the door, looking for that, holding on to that hope, you know, relying on you. Something has got to come down here into this world to help mankind, because the AI has got a lock on the communications happening worldwide, and they are preventing this truth on a massive level, but they're still they're having troubles now with all these other things that are being rolled out in the theater with Trump and Dodge and all this, you know, financing and corruption stuff that they're unveiling on that one side of it. But that's where they want you to look. They want you to appear that what they are doing, and all that stuff is good, but you have to look at the big picture of what they're doing in the background, which I'm going to address here this evening. So having said that, I'm just going to play this short little clip here because it's going to tie into the next success that I'm going to share with you here from people that followed my work and followed the truth actually and stood on their square.
The greatest spiritual practice of them all. It's not meditation. It's not yoga. It's not Qigong or breathwork. It's to stand up and speak your truth in everything you're doing. There is not a more spiritual practice than that. And then watch what happens in your life. Give it 1 month. Speak the actual truth in every situation. See what happens.
Love it. That is so true. And why that is so true is because I have several people that, you know, every month people are reaching out to me, sharing their success and what they've done in the courts and this and that. Well, I'm going to share a story with everybody here. Let me just make this a little bit bigger here so I can read it properly. Okay, so just bear with me. So I had a gentleman reach out to me. I'm going to keep his name private or whatever. And he was going through a very serious matter in the courts. So I'm just going to share with everybody here what he wrote to me, and I'm just going to read it to everybody so we can get this on the public record. Well, here's a little success story you may want to tell people about. Maybe it will inspire confidence in some out there to stand their square when faced with the legal system. About 5 years ago, before COVID, my wife and 9 kids and I decided to sell our property and purchase a different not from ours that had a little more. I did. Okay, just wanted to make sure I blocked out their names. had a little more land and had 2 houses attached together. Very odd to say the least. We were buying this with another couple, and we knew that they had kids the same age as ours. We decided to do this with them because we were pretty concerned about the way the world seemed to be heading and felt that it could help each other and work together at a cooperative partnership type thing. We are very discreet about this to our friends and our family for obvious reasons. Well, because my wife and I didn't have enough credit to approve the mortgage application for other couple, we're the only ones able to legally purchase the property and be on the land title. On a handshake deal, well, we had an agreement in place. We gave them our share of the mortgage deposit and nothing more than an honor system between friends and no written contract. After the 3rd month, our relationship was destroyed and we found ourselves in a position where we had no money because we gave it all to the other couple and potentially had no home because they wanted to force a sale, essentially putting us out in the streets, so to speak. The first letter we received from their lawyer was a shock to say the least. A lawyer. How did we get this to this point? We didn't know what to do. We sold our farm. We moved all our equipment, livestock, and our home to this new place in faith. And 3 months later, we were faced with the stress of feeling like we lost everything for our kids. And the stress we endured during this was unexplainable at the time. So beyond the stress everyone was dealing with in 2020, we are now finding ourselves in a position where we were forced to find a lawyer to help us get the stressful situation to put ourselves in. The first lawyer we went to listened to us for about a half an hour, 40 minutes, and told us, "You're fucked." He then shook our hands and induced us to a receptionist to settle the bill. Well, that sucked. About a week later, we found another lawyer. He should have got him to do that. The first initial consultation is free, right? You don't go and see them and get them to charge you. They can give you that first initial consultation for free. That's what they all should be doing. Most of them do that. You just have to ask for it, right? Squeaky gate gets the eel. It was at this point in early 2020 and reading and everything I could find a solution, and all of a sudden I came across the website called A Warrior Calls. I'm pretty open-minded and new info really excites me, so I watched the intro videos and really resonated with me, and I studied your website, many others. And it came to me very obvious that we didn't need this lawyer to represent us. It all just made sense on a spiritual level. After everything we learned, we fired our lawyer and took it upon ourselves to settle this issue. And after months and back and forth with their lawyer, we ended up having a phone call meeting with the owner of the legal firm that was representing the other couple. I love how he writes that. Through negotiations with him, and we ended up buying a property from them at a much lower price than what they bought it for months earlier. The final word being that if we didn't have a lawyer, we would lose. That was their lawyer's threat to us. We thought we were pretty smart at this point and felt we had an upper hand. Almost 2 years later on Thanksgiving weekend, a car pulls into the driveway and asks if I'm such and such, first and last name. Knowing better now, I do not acknowledge that name and ask what is the visit was for, and out came the envelope. I did not accept it, so she dropped it. That's someone giving them service, right, for some legal proceeding. So she dropped it and drove off. Inside a notice that we were being sued by the other couple. It was a lot of money, but a lot more than we had. $8,000 is a small claim, but we hired this hot shot lawyer from the same firm we were dealing with before, whatever his name was. We searched his name on the internet, and it turns out he was voted the top litigation lawyer in Alberta 2 years running. Okay, with a lot of confidence. This time we filed the proper paperwork at the clerk's office, writing for ease of filing purposes only, which I've taught everybody, right? You never use their paperwork at the courthouse there. You always putting things in there conditionally. With a lot of confidence this time, we went with the proper paperwork at the clerk's office, writing ease of filing purposes, and no point agreeing in any way to being a defendant. Months later, we had our first mediation, which was done via Zoom. I'm pretty old-fashioned. I don't have a smartphone, and yesterday was the first e-transfer I've ever done. So we had some trouble figuring out how to use the Zoom, and as the clock hands moved closer to the time set for the meeting, we started to get that nervous shake and uneasy feeling, as everybody does when you've got to deal with these maggots in these corrupt courts or tribunals or mediation hearings. When the meeting started at 9 a.m., the lady acting as mediator introduced herself, turned to the other guy and the other couple and asked, such and such, are you the plaintiffs? They both shook their heads and said yes. She looked at him and his wife and asked, are you the defendants? Nope. I said right away, have you reviewed the communications we filed into the court cases? I tell everyone the 3 notices with the tacit agreement. I ask, I think you're referring to the legal fiction, and we do not accept titles, roles, nor persons, as it is written in Job 32:21 of the King James Bible. God bless them. They use that. I usually don't use that, but that's good. 9:04, meeting was over. Laugh out loud. Now, this is the lawyer who was beside himself. He nor his clients had not a clue what the heck just happened. She simply said, we need a plaintiff and a defendant to hold mediation. You're damn straight that's what they need, right? They need 2 suckers on each side of the fictions on each side. So it goes on to say, it at that point became very clear to us exactly what you were talking about all these years. It's a game, an effing game, and most people have no clue at all. Like you said, at one point, it's like they're playing game of baseball and there's another team in the outfield. Actually, it's they're playing baseball and you're a hockey team. That's more like it. If you're in the outfield, you're still in their same territory. Jurisdiction, you're in the same game. Months go by and we get an email from the court letting us know that our pretrial date has been scheduled and that we were to attend via Zoom. So right away I started filing my paper again, 1, 2, 3 notices of appearance and notice of trespass filed in a court and emailed directly to the woman acting as Assistant Justice of the Peace. Hilarious name if you ask me. Anyway, that meeting went about the exact same way. Miss Justice took a little more personally and told me I was a defendant, whether I liked it or not. I filed a final notice to her stating she had breached our tacit agreement and trespassed against us and let her know if I saw any further communications from her, I would file a bar grievance against her and never saw her name come up again. Months go by now, and over a year since we received that envelope, every communication we sent them was done exactly as you teach. And in every communication we would state that even though he had trespassed against us on many occasions, it commanded our Creator, we will forgive those who trespass against us. That's what I teach everybody, right? Most importantly, we would act and conduct ourselves honorably at all times. I've got to be honest, although we had little success thus far, when the email came letting us know the court date had been sent, we were very nervous. We just couldn't believe that this was still happening and wondered why the case hadn't been thrown out yet. I filed the communications you said were required to file, but we were still on this train wreck heading toward the courthouse. I called up the court clerk's office because they didn't give me the first name of the man acting as justice, as I tell you to get. You look it up online, you find a way to track them down, because that's what you refer to them for. I called, goes on to say, the justice, nor did they give me his direct email. Of course they won't. The clerk, and he's a public servant, don't forget that. He's just a man, a maggot wearing a black robe for a private service corporation. He's not going to come forward and claim that we the people are property. He's not going to come forward and point to you, say he's got a contract on the private side as a man or woman that you're property, and he sure as hell doesn't have a contract with the service corporation he's acting through that you're property. It's that simple in those three questions. That's how you hold these people accountable. You got to act like that man or woman in front of them, honorably and powerfully, and you don't take any shit from them. Okay. The clerk I spoke to said his name is Justice Argentino. I said, thank you, but I require his first name. In shock, she replied, you must address him as the Justice Argentino or Your Honor. I asked her, why do I need to do that? Good way to go. Good way to talk about it there, brother. And I straight out told her that I would be the man who started filing my 3 notices of appearances, or so I'd be the man who judges whether the man acting as justice was honorable or not. Anyway, she gave me his name, and right away I started filing my 3 notices of appearance, notice of trespass in the court directly to his email, stating that I would honorably attend the court to correct the record. Only again would not accept any titles, persons, roles as a defendant. About a week prior to the court date, this is the other couple's lawyer called us up and tried to make a deal. This they always like to do, right? They like to wait till it's on the courthouse to try and settle something. Money, 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 money. He was polite and very easy to talk to. He stated that this case was difficult for him because normally the lawyers of each party have opportunities to discuss the case and settle things prior to court. Very professional, I guess, to rack up the bill on both sides, right? But we told him we would not negotiate. But we did ask. They dropped the lawsuit against us. That didn't go anywhere. The night before the court, he called again, offering us another deal. If we paid half of his costs and the $8,000, he would make necessary arrangements to forego court the next morning. This is supposed to be one of the top liars, okay, in Alberta. Never forget that. What is the amount your clients currently owe you? We asked. $50,000, he replied. I mean, holy shit. You have to be kidding me. On an $8,000 grievance? See, this is what I'm saying. The bar, you never use lawyers, people. You get what you bloody well deserve. Unbelievable, really. However, that night, if we were wrong, the judge has it out for us. Thought raced through our minds and the stress hit us again. It was not a great sleep, to say the least. When we got into the courtroom, we sat there viewing section and watched the other 2 cross the bar. We were holding each other's hands, shaking when the justice of the peace entered. We stood and sat as the court clerk asked. 2 peace officers entered and sat behind us, all decked out in typical bulletproof vests, tasers, and guns. This is what they do to intimidate. Right away, I knew they were just asked to come in to intimidate us. The man acting as justice turned to the others and asked the same question as a meteor. Assistant Justice asked regarding the name and the role. And when he turned to us and replied, "Good morning, Eldo." When he turned to us, I replied, "Good morning, Eldo." That was his first name, right? Everyone in the courtroom looked right at me with awe. It was quite hilarious if you ask me. Yeah, it's a fucking riot and a half when you do it. I enjoy it every single time because you're letting them know I don't give a shit who you think you are. You better damn well have a verified claim in this court that I'm in breach of contract or I've caused wrong or harm. Otherwise, Bob or Susie, in this case, Eldo, you have no jurisdiction over we the people. You're a public servant, right? Love it. Sorry, I go off there a little bit because it's very, very powerful. So he goes on to say here, Have you received the communication I sent filed in with the court? He asked. Yes, he said. But it's all nonsense, and I'm striking it from the record. Trespass, that's what he said. They held the court just like you said they would on TV, but without anyone on the other side. They started playing baseball with nobody in the outfield. We couldn't believe it. We just sat there and watched them tell these boohoo bullshit stories on how they were victims and how they took advantage of them. Hours of this crap without being able to defend ourselves. Again, they're not defending themselves. It's a legal fiction. You can't speak on behalf of that legal fiction. Okay? We were victims and we took advantage of them. Hours of this crap were being able to defend ourselves. On recess, we were so stressed and so scared what might happen. To no fault of our own, you didn't respond. Like I said, I get thousands of communications, people, and I've told everybody I'm done. But this is why I'm showing everybody what this man did, okay? You either act like a man or a woman or don't bother me. Don't contact me, okay? I've laid this out for everybody to know exactly what to do. And these people did it, and they stood on their square. So he goes on to say, we came home, and for the first time I reached out to you. I lost and afraid of what might happen, to no fault of your own. You didn't respond. I can't imagine how many people, lost and afraid, scared of what the legal system may do to them, try to reach out to you for advice. I felt defeated having to do so myself. So we allowed our ego minds to create this stressful nightmare. Exactly. This man knows exactly what's going on with his consciousness. What might happen? Will we lose our home? Will they put a lien on it? Will they garnish our accounts? It was a killer. Months gone by again. No email, no letter in the mail, nothing. Now it's been over a year since the court date, and we have not received a single notice regarding a debt due or anyone we know. In the end, it was just thrown out. In a way, we were both a little disappointed. We didn't stay until the end that day. We could get the transcripts, but for $650. See, it's all about money, people. That's why you record it. And you tell that little prick that's wearing the robe, I'm recording that. That's my God-given right. You haven't established jurisdiction over me unless there's a verified claim before this court that I've trespassed, causing wrong or harm or breach of contract. Where is it, Eldo? Anyway, so it goes on to say here, we couldn't get the transcripts. We just didn't bother because we knew if there was a debt, if there was a debt, such and such, that would be the lawyer would collect. Laugh out loud. Lawyers don't work for free, meaning the other couple would have had to pay a bill, and I'm sure it would have been far more than the $50,000 it was prior to the court appearance. The other couple had many opportunities to drop the lawsuit and didn't. They made a choice to hire the province's most expensive lawyer to represent them, and instead of standing on their honor on their own, the bill they must have received from this lawyer is all the karma they deserved, and I couldn't agree more. All in all, if we didn't stand on our square, which I tell everybody, you have to know who you are, and you don't fear any of these people. You don't go in there, you don't start yelling over them, you let the paper work for you, as these people did. They stood there honorably, but they knew damn well who they were, and they've grown big time. They've got kahunas on them like gorillas right now. Right? And that's what I love about them. Again, if we didn't stand on our square, the way you teach and stand with no fear and in honor, the outcome would have been much different. You're damn straight, especially if you used a lawyer. Liar. We are both so grateful for everything you do and the warrior you are, and I hope in some way this story can inspire others to do the same. And although they intimidate, just stand on your square. I hope that in some small way it shows you that your voice and your teaching are of value, and I encourage you to continue the battle against those who seek control over us. The sense of empowerment I now have is the most incredible feeling. You can't get that by just listening to a podcast once a week. As I teach my kids, you can read and listen to all sorts of information, but until you actually do it yourself, you really have no knowledge of what you have read or heard. The only way to learn is to do. Thanks again, Christopher. That was wonderful. That really touched me. And he sent it to me on February the 1st this year. And I've been meaning to bring that up, and I finally got around to it. So, if it's traffic court, it's the same thing, right? Listen, if you give people your license at the side of the road, the next day you've got to send those tickets back, make photocopies of them. So you've got a record of them. You write right across them, rescind order to contract, rescind offer to contract, rescind order, something like that. And writing right across the tickets. Take photocopies or scans of the tickets without the writing, and then photocopies of scans with the tickets with the writing. You send that back to the man or woman acting as chief of police, of who's ever overseeing this municipal court, because that's who's moving it. It's your city, it's the municipality, whatever city you've got charged in, they're moving this court against you. Well, you don't have a contract with those people that are operating that city municipality, that service corporation. You've caused no wrong or harm to any man or woman, to my knowledge. So who's moving this court then? See, it's all fraud. It falls apart. That's why if you did give them your license and you're intimidated, like even if you don't give them a license and they're charging you with driving without a license, well, Fine. Same thing. You write the same 3 notices. On this day, I was traveling, not driving, traveling in my property from point A to point B. I did not cause any wrong or harm to any man or woman when I was trespassed upon by a man who's ignorant of law, acting for such and such service corporation, be it, a police department or whatever, the OPP or the RCMP, whoever it is, all these clowns, right, that know nothing about law. They're trespassing against you unless you're drunk as a skunk, high on drugs or something, you're swerving all over the road, or they've got a verified claim that's come into their department that this license plate, that this car's been stolen or was involved in a hit and run, or a car was stolen or theft, or it's been involved in multiple accidents, whatever. That's the only way that they have a right to pull that car over, not because they believe, oh, you're speeding or you were doing something you're not supposed to do because of some highway traffic act. So you write 3 notices to them with those tickets and you require them to produce the verified claim, trespass, contract, or wrong or harm that you've caused to a man or woman. If you don't have a contract with the municipality and then you ask them who's moving this court, well, they're going to say it's the municipality of such and such, right? Fine. Well, where is it? Where's the contract I have with your service corporation? I don't have it, and unless somebody comes forward, and then you put the 3 questions of that, I require them to produce the evidence that whoever's involved in this at the service corporation believes that I property, whoever wrote these codes, rules, or statutes for the Highway Traffic Act, that would be the Service Corporation Ontario, right? That's all you have to do. Once you send the 3 notices to them, send it 72 hours apart, but you get those tickets back immediately the next day, maximum 2 days later, you get it back in their face. And once you send them 3 notices, and if they respond to you, you find out who the lawyer is that's acting for the traffic department or whatever at the local courthouse or whatever, call those yahoos up, find out who the top man or woman is, get their name, and start sending those notices of trespass to them, right? Require them to say, I'll pay any debt that's due or true, but you better damn well produce the contract you're relying upon, because I don't know who you people are. You're all working for a service corporation, and if I've caused no wrong or harm to any man or woman, then you have no jurisdiction, and what you're doing is you're committing constructive fraud, okay? Under the color of law, you bring into a public courthouse and you're trying to extort, terrorize money from me. Well, here's my trespass fine for that as well. You trespass against me, it's $100,000, right, for bringing fraud into the court, which I will collect against you. And for your service corporation, it's $1 million. Once you get higher up, when you start dealing with like Ontario or Canada, you make that service corporation, it can be anything, $10 million, $20 million, $100 million, depending on the degree of the terrorism that they're causing you by their agents and officers that are working underneath them. So it's 3 notices. Once they fail to respond, then you hit them with a 4th tacit agreement. You include the 3 notices with that tacit agreement along with your fee schedule, right? Tells them, if I got to make this appearance on this day, I'm going to make a special appearance. You better damn well produce that verified claim that I've trespassed causing wrong or harm. Otherwise, you've contracted with me now. You've trespassed. Here's my trespass fine. It's all laid out. And you've made that clear to them honorably 3 times with the tacit agreement before you get into a court. Once you do that, if they proceed to move that court, they don't stop it. Once they get in there, everybody is liable, especially the little maggot wearing the black robe. And then you take that tacit agreement, as those people did, with the 3 notices, and you file it into their court case at the public courthouse 2 or 3 days before you're supposed to be there. Not the morning of. You go there 2 or 3 days, and you require that court clerk to file this into their court cases. You take 2 copies with you. You get your court set of papers stamped so that you've got a record that it got filed, and you get her to stamp it as well with the date, and then she'll file it into that court file. That way, when that little maggot wearing the black robe opens up that folder that morning, he's going to see your 3 notices and tacit agreement that you've tried to settle this on the private side, and you're here by special agreement. No jurisdiction's been established. That's what you need to know and understand in your heart, your mind, and your soul. It always boils down to contract, people. You're not property of another man or woman, whatever their title is. Job 32:21, I pray not you accept any persons, nor do you accept any titles, right? Remember that. Everyone out there is your fellow man or woman. We are all equal under the law. The second that anyone's acting in a role as a crown attorney, as a police officer, as a justice of the peace, or a federal prosecutor, a federal judge, they're all titles. And all those titles mean what? Nothing. Okay? The minute that somebody acts in a role, they have no rights. They've got duties and obligations to that service corporation they're acting through. Duties and obligations do not trump the rights of a man or a woman. And if everybody had this truth, like this man and woman now, in their hearts and soul worldwide, all of this corruption would stop like that, because those of us that have the evidence, and there's millions of us worldwide, of this massive corruption and theft and death and genocide that's occurring, we would all be at that courthouse en masse moving our claims in courts against the people that are involved in this, like Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, Theresa Tam, every man or woman acting for any service corporation across this country in government, right? Their health departments, their legal departments, their councils, whatever boards, tribunals they put together, they're all liable. Having said that, I'm going to go back to my Japanese. You know, I absolutely love the Japanese. Okay. So into that saying, there's a Japanese legend that says, if you feel like you're losing everything, remember, trees lose their leaves every year, yet they still stand tall and wait for better days to come. Right? And that's what we have to do. We just can't stand tall. We've got to continue to grow. We've got to continue to understand who and what we are. And once we do that, well, look out. Okay. It's game on. So for those of you who didn't see this, this happened this week as well. Okay. Last Sunday. This is a short clip on 60 Minutes. This is beautiful. How this is all tying into everything here tonight and what's going on in our world, okay? You have to understand, you're going to look at 3 maggots here that are bar members. They're repugnant, every last one of them. And they think their bullshit actually has any jurisdiction over any man or woman. So look at this short clip on the Germany free speech laws that they're rolling out. And I'm going to walk you through how they're applying that in the United States. They're rolling this all out in Canada as well. Let's have a quick little listen to this. This is on 60 Minutes, which is a joke to begin with.
Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher
Yeah.
if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you, in the internet, if I insult you or a politician...
That sticks around forever.
Yeah.
The prosecutors explain German law also prohibits the spread of malicious gossip, violent threats, and fake quotes.
If somebody posts something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it. That's the same for us.
The punishment for breaking hate speech laws can include jail time for repeat offenders.
Hate speech laws, right? The part that's, you know, she just said that then you just can't, you know, make something up or repost whatever. That's exactly what these maggots are doing. It's not, what's German law? You always ask who? Whose law is it? German law? Okay, who's this man or woman called German? Because the only law that I abide by is my creator, God. No one stands between me and my creator. You can't serve 2 masters. So what are you talking about? German law? Oh, you mean written by people called legislatures? People that are acting for a service corporation called government? Germany? Oh, okay. Do any of those people got a contract with me on the private side who wrote that puke that I'm their property? Nope. They got a contract with a service corporation they're acting through that I'm property? Nope. Well, unless they come forward and claim that I'm property and have verifiable evidence of it, nothing that they put pen to paper applies to I as a man. It's that simple. And that is synonymous worldwide. This is why people need to get this, right? Those 3 little maggots, just look at them. You know, they're the 3 geeks that graduated at the top of the class. They're the little maggots you probably wanted to beat up at lunchtime there, right? Those little twits tried to move anything against me. That'd be the last thing that they ever did. I'll tell you right now. And that's why people need to get on their back heels and start to push back against these people. And keeping up with it, the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because, you know, you've got to pay attention, right? We've got such a level of deceit that's going on in this world. To my brothers and sisters in the south of us here in America, okay? You've got a massive amount of information that you're being thrown at right now. You don't know which end is up. I'm going to play this here. This is J.D. Vance. He's the vice president of the Service Corporation, the United States. Okay, remember that. That's all easy, is a man acting in a role underneath another guy acting who's got a title president, remember? Don't accept any titles, people. Donald Trump's not going to come forward and say to any man or woman in the United States that they're his property. He doesn't have a contract with any man or woman in the United States that he's their property. Nor does he have a contract with the repugnant service corporation he's acting through, not the government by and for the people. He's acting for a legal entity, a corporate body, a dead entity, right? And through, again, the color of law, this is how they're fooling and manipulating everybody to what is actually going on. Donald Trump doesn't have that jurisdiction, nor does any other man or woman under his control in any agency at the municipal, federal, state level. Nobody acting in any role is going to answer yes to those 3 questions. Do you see how simple and powerful that is? And people need to learn how to express that and put that to these people powerfully, and you stand on your square. You can't fear these evil. The problem is that when we get dragged into these courts, right, like this couple here, there's thousands, maybe millions of people around the world that know these truths, and they would love to be there and support those people. But we don't know when everyone's going to courts, and we can't be always running to courts every time someone's going in there to support them, right? This is how the system gets away with what they're doing, because they intimidate through their numbers that they have in the courtroom. A couple of little yahoos come in that are acting as, you know, court security or whatever with their guns and their tasers or whatever to sort of intimidate you. Then you've got a crown prosecutor, maybe a couple of lawyers. Then you've got a judge. Then you got a bailiff, right? It's all theater, people. And when you stand your ground, I don't fear any of these people, okay? But they can hear through my voice when I speak to them. They better damn well not trespass against me, or they are going to be held accountable. Let's listen to J.D. Vance here, because he's talking about what's going on in all the countries, especially also the United States, which he forgets about. But listen to this, because this is what's going on around the world. And this is why the truth that I bring forward is so important, and why we've got to bring it into the light.
I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. After British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizen suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
Okay, now, that's nice that he's brought this up and out into the light, but here he's talking about they're writing law. Who's writing law? See, they don't write law. These people that are acting all these roles, they don't write laws. No one stands between us and our creator. See, they're attacking everything and everyone. I didn't pull this up, but I should have. There was a man in the United States. His daughter came home, and she was been over at his brother's house, and she was bleeding vaginally. His brother had raped her. It was his little daughter, right? Like, I believe she was under 10. Right? 10 or between 10 or 13 or something. And his daughter was crying, and she told him what his brother had done to him. Well, he went over there, and he not only beat the fuck out of the guy, he ended up dismembering him, putting him in a suitcase, and now this guy's been thrown in jail or whatever. As far as I'm concerned, that guy had every right to do that. Okay? You do that to a child, you do that to my property, right? My life and blood that I brought onto a helpless little girl. You put that type of horrific, demonic trespass against her, oh, you better believe I'm going to come at you with the full weight of everything I possibly can. So as far as I'm concerned, that guy should be let out of jail. I stand with him immediately. I hope to God somebody appeals it. But of course, the justice system, how it works, as you just heard there, right? A guy praying, not harming anybody across the street from a clinic or whatever, and these morons in the UK come and arrest him or whatever. That's what I'm saying. This is where the people need to rise up, and you thump these people. That's what I mean. It's unbelievable the ignorance that is going on in this world, but the ignorance is the enemy. It's a tsunami of ignorance that's washing over this world right now. And we're standing here like this little beacon of light with a very, very powerful truth that will take all of this down, all of it down, once people understand who they are and understanding what law is, right? Then we can start holding people accountable and accessing our courts correctly. So after that speech from J.D. Vance here, a wonderful guy laid it out in the EU here on what the U.S. is doing.
I'm a bit surprised no one mentions here that the United States have also withdrawn from the Human Rights Council of the United Nations. This makes the world, for all Europeans, a more dangerous place. I'm not surprised, of course. I mean, we're speaking in the end of a country whose governments have illegally abducted people, tortured them in secret prisons throughout the Middle East, killed children, bombed weddings from Iraq to Afghanistan, a country responsible, according to its own universities, for millions of victims in the Middle East. We're speaking about a government that's actually today, currently pushing, supporting genocide, supporting the deportation of millions of Palestinians, the country blocking the Cuban people from getting the medical equipment they need and deserve, a country imposing sanctions on working class families throughout the world just because they disagree with their government, and a country currently mass deporting working class families from the United States. Now the question is not, why are the US withdrawing from human rights conventions? The question is, why is Europe not reacting? Do we think this is a good thing? Are we afraid to stand up? Or is this the true face of this union, not fighting for global human rights, but for corporate interests and profits of Musk?
So see, the truth is coming out, even in these repugnant environments like the EU or all the parliaments around the world that are all corrupt, filled with maggots. The truth is coming forward because there are some good people that are standing on that square doing all that they can to bring the truth forward. Now, we've just walked everybody through what's been going on in the US, what's going on in the world. You see all this stuff? Well, this has just happened in Canada, right? Look what the OPP did, showing up at this guy's house, threatening him, intimidating him, and listen what this little maggot, little police officer says at the end. I'll tell you, and then you can decide what you want to do later. All of these people are trespassing against this man because he's spoken back to these maggots that are acting in his local council, which they all are. They're all corrupt to the core or whatever, and they don't like it. And listen to what they threaten this guy with. A trespass. No different than I show everyone with the notice of the trespass. This is why you need to turn it around on them, find out where these people live, lean their homes, and away you go.
Hello, Daniel. How are you today?
Good day. How are you?
Good. My name's Officer Moon with the OPP, obviously, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just here to talk about some of your behavior at the town council meetings and the town councillors.
There was no behavior. It was just letters.
I'm just going to let you know. So past behaviors, what I've heard is when you see the councillors on the streets in particular, you sometimes yell at them, call them names, and swear, is what I've been told.
Nope.
Okay, that's fine if you're denying. It's all good. I just want to let you know that that behavior is not appropriate.
I know that.
There is a section in the criminal code called cause disturbance.
Okay, so there you go right there, right? This monkey, this moron from the OPP, he doesn't know a damn thing about law, okay? And he's talking about some criminal code. What do I teach everybody? Who? Who wrote that criminal code you're referring to, you ignorant monk, right? Another man or woman? Well, they better come forward and say that I'm their property, or they have a contract with me on the private side on property, or they got a contract with that little repugnant service corporation that they were acting through as a legislator when they wrote that puke. See how simple that is? I wouldn't allow this to go on even this far. I would have had these people off my property in a heartbeat. But I'll let this play on. You have to listen to the ignorance of these people.
Which says that when you do things like yelling and screaming in public and swearing, and it disturbs people, that's an offense. So I don't want you to do that anymore.
Okay.
Cool?
Yep.
Cool. The other thing that may happen, because they're not particularly fond of your behaviors, they're a little concerned, is they may issue you a trespass letter, which would say that you're not allowed
now,
to town hall.
Can I stop for a minute?
Sure.
After the new year, in the letters, I don't know if you've read the letters at all, we're coming to you people for a fraud investigation.
Okay, it would just say that you're not allowed to be in the town hall.
Okay, yeah.
It would just be like if you went to the town hall again,
Yep.
you'd get a trespass charge. Okay?
Yep.
And these individuals are just here to chat with you because maybe you got a little stress going on. And that's kind of what they do.
No, I don't.
Nothing like that?
Oh, okay. Well, this young lady here is awesome to talk to. I'm just going to let you have a conversation with her.
Is she allowed, if I don't want her to?
You don't have to.
She's not a police officer.
I'll just introduce myself and then you can decide if you want to or
Yep.
not. I'm Kelsey with the hospital. I'm a social worker.
No,
So
see ya.
I ride around with these guys as the mobile crisis worker.
Good for you.
So if you want to chat with me at all,
No.
I'm here to chat with you.
I got other people to chat to.
That's perfect.
Cool.
Glad
All
to
right.
have somebody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so just to be 100% sure, you understand, don't be confronting the town
Dude,
councilors on the streets.
that's why letters were left. That's why I don't late. You know what I'm
I just
saying?
want to 100% understand you're not going to confront them and swear at them in the streets.
That way,
anymore.
there's documentation. There's documentation here.
I got no
There's
issue with your letters.
documentation everywhere.
Got no issue with your letters. I just want you to stop yelling at them in the streets because that's not appropriate.
Because see, what they're doing is trying to cover up their fraud.
Just stop yelling at them in the street.
That will be brought on.
good with
So
that?
go back and tell them that, please.
Are you agreeing to stop yelling at them in the
Oh,
street?
sir, I've done that a long time
Okay,
ago.
cool. Awesome. Okay. All right, have a great day.
Okay, drive safe now.
You too.
I wouldn't have been that polite. I'll tell you right now, right? They would have got a few F-offs, and I would have put them in their place and I would have recorded it very, very quickly. I don't give a shit who those people are. All you saw there was, hear that? You can't be yelling at people. Who does that monkey think he is? Do you understand? You never say you understand. That means you stand under their jurisdiction, all right? They're all trespassing. I would have given them a trespass notice there at the door, say, you fuck show up at my property again, and you're going to be trespassing, and then I'm going to move claims against all of you on the private side. I'll come after you for your homes, right? I'll make you feel the heat, all the pain that we the people are. Right? These little maggots that are acting in these roles as councillors or mayors in all these municipalities around our countries and world, they're maggots. Okay? They're corrupt to the core. They've got this little instilled that we've got power now, that whatever we say, these people have got to abide by. They've got to cow down to what we do, or this is what we're going to do. We're going to send people to your house. Right? That's why these people all need to be rounded up, brought into a real court, held accountable, lock them up and throw away the keys. All right? I got no use for those stupid maggots. And speaking of stupid maggots, here's one for you here. This is the commissioner of the RCMP. Listen to this turd, right? He's done nothing in Canada with all this massive theft that's going on here, and he's talking about cartels.
I can confirm that we do have intelligence that different cartels operate in Canada.
Yes, different cartels do. Canada is one cartel. It's a corporation. Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba, Vancouver, everything, right? All these governments, they are the cartels. Never forget that. I'll let it keep playing here.
There's also strong intelligence that Canadians have actually moved to Mexico and South America to facilitate the transport of certain commodities into Canada, so we are aware of it.
And what about the two street gangs that you included in there as well?
The street gangs, it's the same. The intel picture is very similar. And what's interesting, going back to Catherine's question with regards to what this does, is there's a lot of organized crime groups that are not listed that feed in from the Mexican organized crime group. So if you are supporting an organized crime group that is now listed, you're part of that, and you could be charged under the terrorism legislation.
What a clown that guy is, right? An absolute joke. Right? That's what I'm saying. The ignorance is off the chart. I call him super stupid. And if there's for those of you that know like in my background on music and entertainment industry, there's a band called Funkadelic, and they had a song called Super Stupid. And that's what I hear every time in my head when I look at that twit, right? There's a guy that needs to be brought into a courthouse. He needs to be held accountable for the massive corruption he's involved with. Why? Well, like I'm saying, this is the BS that's been going on for a very, very long time, and it's got to stop. For those of you that don't remember, you probably do, Jody Wilson-Raybould, she's another Indonesian woman, right, that acted as a lawyer as the Attorney General for Canada at one point. And leaked records have shown that Jody Wilson held secret meetings with the RCMP to encourage them to widen their investigation into the SNC-11 when she was serving as Attorney General, but the RCMP did not comply with her request. Of course they didn't, because the RCMP is corrupt to the core, okay? These people are not the law. Never, ever, ever forget that. So what's happened since then? Well, like again, that's another thing. This thing went on 7 years ago that this was going on or more, right? Well, this is the bullshit that's going on now, as if this is supposed to be some sort of justice that's going on, right? You've got these tools now that are involved doing a new court filing.
I am here today to announce that Democracy Watch is taking the next step in its years-long process to hold the Trudeau government and Prime Minister Trudeau and the Trudeau cabinet accountable for pressuring the Attorney General back in the fall of 2018 to intervene and stop the prosecution of SNC-Lavalin. Given the evidence and given as well that the RCMP did not apply the correct legal standard in terms of reviewing the evidence and determining whether there had been an obstruction of justice, and also given that the RCMP did not consider in its investigation whether the Prime Minister or anyone else had committed a breach of trust, Democracy Watch is today filing an application in Ontario Court of Justice.
I'm just going to pause it there, right? I cannot stomach much of this stuff, right? This moron is the guy now that's supposedly going to seek justice on behalf of the people of Canada, okay? He's telling you right there that the RCMP didn't follow whatever they were supposed to, right? None of them did. And what he's doing is putting an application. And when you apply for something, what is that in law? To beg, right? Who's he sending this application to? Oh, this corrupt legal judiciary, where it's a rigged game. It's a rigged fence. This is going nowhere, right? It took him 7 years to pull his head out of his ass to come onto the light, which he should have been doing 7 years or more ago when this stuff went down. Now he's out here trying to do this, right? How long do you think this is going to go? This country's all going to be finished, right? We're going to be in the ground, all of us, by the time they actually get this into any court. This is what I'm saying. The people that have the evidence should be able to move their claims in courts like lightning. Go to that courthouse right now, get an emergency warrant arrest out for Justin Trudeau. Not for this low-level bullshit. How about the genocide that Justin Trudeau's involved in with COVID-19 as a lie? And every minister, every attorney general, every health minister right across this country. That is where the rubber hits the road. Anyways, I'm not going to pay any more attention to this because it's just... you get the gist here of what's going on, okay? I'm just going to keep moving here because it's absolutely simply. Oh, let me share this just to show you the ridiculousness of all the crap that's going on. For those of you that are outside of the country, when the convoy went to Ottawa many, 2-3 years ago, whatever it was, there was a handful of people that were seen as being on point, that were running and coordinating all of this. There was Tamara Lynch. There was Chris Barber, a truck driver. Tamara Lynch was just supposed to be an average woman pulling this stuff all together. Then there was another guy named Pat King. Well, Pat King got charged for doing all this mischief. He spent, I think, 6 months or more in jail at one point, right? Then he got released. His sentencing finally came down. Not his sentencing, but this whole corrupt system. Remember, they have to save face, so they've got to show some way that someone is being found guilty, because then that just justifies all their dealings and everything they did. They can just wipe their hands clean with it. No one's ever held accountable for the massive wrong and harm that they've done. Well, Pat King, for those of you that don't know, he got his court ruling here today. Pat King gets 3 months conditional sentence plus time served. So the convoy protest was convicted of 5 of the 9 charges late last year. This has been going on for 3 years now in the courts, if not 4, right? So this guy's basically, he's been convicted to house arrest. In November, King was convicted in Ontario Supreme Court of 5 criminal charges: mischief, counseling to commit mischief, counseling to obstruct a public or peace officer, and 2 counts of disobeying a court order. Now, I don't even want to get started where all that stuff is complete nonsense, but at the end of the day, okay, they have to stand correct. And then you've got Pat King and all these, he's a good man or whatever, but he's not educated when it comes to the law. He's out there with all the people. What do? Oh, Canada, our home and native land. They're out there singing like a bunch of fools, right? You like singing about a corporation's theme song, because that's what Canada is. It's a service corporation, people. The words in that got nothing to do with you as a man or a woman, okay? So this is the kind of crap that went down, and they put this man through hell. And now, of course, everyone's, where's the lawyer coming out to the point? They dropped all these charges. See, they found him guilty. So is he going to appeal any of that? No, he's just happy to be done with it. But what about, I meant to bring that up, now I just remembered, now I'm sorry, Derek Sloan again, another favorite of mine, another maggot bar member. That guy's always out there asking, he's worse than Ezra Levant, looking for money for support all these legal proceedings of all these people that pay all these lawyers, all these thousands of dollars. And then they still get found guilty. Well, this one truck driver, his charges all got dropped or whatever, and he had hired a lawyer, but now he's stuck with a legal bill. So Sloan's out there asking him, oh, please support this man. He's a great man, the trucker, not Sloan, right? But what should be happening? Well, that man should have a lawyer that's going after these other fucking lawyers, right? And hold all of them accountable for millions of dollars, okay? If not jail time, charging them. But you don't see that happen. Let's raise money to give to the lawyers to help this man out of his debt that he's in. He was put into that debt all based on constructive fraud. And everyone from the court clerks to the sheriffs to the police to the judge, the man acting as judge, to the registrar involved in that courthouse, they are all liable for what they did. And this goes right up to the attorney generals. This applies to all the chief justices that are involved in these proceedings, right? That's what I'm saying, people. People have got to wake up. And I don't know what it's going to take to piss people off. Like, maybe this short clip here will piss people off. I don't know. When I saw it, it was like, man, if this doesn't get people pissed, I don't know what's going to. Another truth.
How many of you are okay with the Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board being on the World Economic Forum?
There you go. How many people knew that, right? That the pension board sits on the WEF, right? And it's no different than WF than the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization is letting up. They continue to drill down. This is a clip that came out here, what they're doing in the background now with all the countries. Again, they're writing these laws that all these service corporations, governments, are going to follow along to. Have a little listen to this. It's sickening.
The idea is to create a whole new set of laws and ignore the existing human rights laws and other laws under the pretext of pandemic preparedness and the biosecurity agenda. The WHO is developing through all its nations, but with the WHO Directorate and the United States in charge, a pandemic treaty and amendments to the existing international health regulations that will remove the human rights protections currently embedded in the IHRs, will enforce surveillance, censorship, get rid of freedom of speech, require governments to censor and only push a single narrative. Also, we will be subject, if they can make this work, to vaccines developed in 100 days, which the organization CEPI is planning to do. And one of the people who founded CEPI was Jeremy Farrar, who is now the chief scientist at the WHO, to bring this forward. Other things that the amendments do is to bind the states so they're no longer recommendations but enforceable edicts, provide a liability shield, get rid of intellectual property rights, move supplies from one country to another, enforce digital passports.
Yeah, so you get the gist of that, right? We've all known what's going on, but these things continue through the works. And while they've got all this other theater that's going on in the world, all this death and destruction, all this massive financial corruption that's going on, you have to remember, Donald Trump, they've got to show you of all this. And again, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let me just play this next one, show you this next thing here, because it's absolutely sickening. The laws and that they're talking about, these type of laws where this little maggot can do this? Right? That's why I have no use for these maggots. This judge is Tracy Lord Clark. She has sentenced an ex-soldier with PTSD, DeFron Williams, to 2.5 years in prison for Facebook comments. The same judge let off a child rapist called Reese Newman because she had said the prisons were overcrowded. This is British justice. This isn't law, people. Okay? And that's what I'm telling you. People worldwide have got to understand this magnificent level of ignorance that's going on right now within all of us. The solution resides within each and every one of us and being able to come together and recognize who is doing wrong, who is trespassing against us, and who's not fit to manage a lemonade stand. One of these people, believe it or not, is Donald Trump. Some of you might not like that, but hey, it is what it is. Here's the truth. And if you don't want to listen to me, listen to someone who has that magnificent evidence, okay? Catherine Austin Fitts. Listen to this clip.
I can't wait to get your reaction on this. This is he's talking about Doge looking into fraud in treasuries. What? Listen to this.
There could be a problem. You've been reading about that with treasuries. And that could be an interesting problem because it could be that a lot of those things don't count. In other words, that some of that stuff that we're finding is very fraudulent. Therefore, maybe we have less debt than we thought of. Think of that.
So just pause it there. Number one, Donald boy. King, as he calls himself now. I believe he's been putting some posts out there. Hey, Don, the debt that you're talking about, that has nothing to do with the American people. That's the service corporation called the United States that is in debt, okay? A legal entity. No different than your little crap casinos, the Taj Mahal where you lost your money, you went bankrupt, or any other businesses that went tits up, right? Did the people have to bail you out? Nope, you went through bankruptcy, and you supposedly dealt with it on your own. That's what should be happening here. This debt, the 37 trillion, is all smoke and mirrors. I'll let this continue on because watch what Catherine, I love Catherine. She nails it here.
Oh boy. What do you make of that?
So let's talk about the facts and then let's go back to what he did. So I'm highly confident that there has been issuance of treasuries off balance sheet that aren't recorded on the balance sheet. So I believe that is the case based on lots of sort of anecdotal evidence and different events. That's separate from him accusing the Treasury of fraud because
right.
There are reasons why this group may want to do fraudulent things with treasuries going forward. And so, if you want to do fraudulent things or selective things like saying we're not going to pay, if the Chinese hold treasuries, we're not going to honor them and use them for sanctions. So there are different sanctions you could use, or there's different fraud you could use going forward. And of course, what we see is a lot of lawlessness justified. Well, the last guys were lawless. Now, I don't know what he's doing, if he's referring to the actual factual fraud that has happened, or he's teeing up one of those future fraudulent or sanction actions. But here's the thing, whichever it is, given our role in the world and your dependency on the treasury market, if I was the president, this is the last thing I would ever see, because it's going to send shockwaves through the treasury markets that is not in your interest. And we even saw the Financial Times say, wait a minute, this is making people nervous. There's something else going on, and that is whatever Trump is up to. Because remember, in the first scenario, what I was going to say is that's not going to have that dilution is not going to have a big impact on the market right now. It's not it's not a big risk in the scheme of things. But whatever the scenario is, he's not behaving like an adult. This is not the behavior of somebody, whether you want to control and operate an empire a new way versus an old way. This is not somebody who's competent. This is not the behavior of somebody who's competent to run an empire.
No, that's not a rational statement to make, that
Right.
our treasuries, they may be fraudulent. That's an insane statement to make. But, frankly, we've had tremors of it during the Biden administration when we had people like Janet Yellen saying, you know what, we might just we might just seize Russian assets. Again, it comes down to what process is in place that you're following. Is there no such thing as due process? The answer is, of course, there is. It's the bedrock of the rule of law, and that's really kind of the overarching theme behind all these cases, all these stories.
But this is what I don't understand. Whatever Trump wants, what he just did is contradictory to what any of those scenarios are.
Right. Right. He's shooting himself in the foot.
Right.
It goes back to, Americans have a genius for slitting their own throats through bad precedent. You get the tactical win and the strategic loss. Not very bright.
Well, one of the things that happens in a new administration, and I've seen it more than a couple times, is you get this rush of power, and it goes to your head, and you lose it.
That's losing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That gets scary.
And like I said, this is what people need to understand. Donald Trump couldn't manage a lemonade stand as far as I'm concerned. But let's just watch this. You've got to pay attention. God rest his soul, my dear friend David, that you all know that we did our, David Hawkins, we did our episodes on there. They murdered David. There's no question about it. It's been all covered up in British Columbia. But David talked about something very important that everyone needs to understand here, okay? Elon Musk, when he owned Tesla, okay, and he had his cars, and then he went and bought Twitter, he acquired all the data that Twitter had. That's massive amounts of information on everybody. And he merged that. No one was paying attention to what's going on. It got merged into these Tesla vehicles, into this overall surveillance that's going on. So what they do is they move these big chess pieces, they have to make the appearance that what they're doing is good, right? That with all these investigations, absolutely. All these investigations to, audit the Fed, absolutely. That should have been 30. Why is it all happening now, right? What Catherine Austin Fitts was talking about there is she's explaining to you that what Donald Trump's doing is he's going to send shockwaves around the world in the financial system. And that's what he's there to do, people, okay? He puts the auspice up there like he's protecting America and this and that. Meanwhile, he's going to tear this system down, okay? And they will usher in whatever they have to, whatever the ultimate game plan is. You have to understand, they do things over on this side to keep everybody thinking that what he's doing is good. But you have to pay attention to the detail. The big picture is that what are they doing to achieve all of this, right? How are they going about doing it? Elon Musk wasn't elected by anybody, right? And yet he's got full feathered access to everything now, okay? I'm all for the exposure and the transparency of it, but you can bet your bottom dollar that this is going to be used in an incorrect way against the people. They're going to drip all the good stuff that comes out, but then there's going to be stuff going on in the background that when they start to drop the shoes and the hammers, like look at Trump coming out giving $7.4 billion to Israel. What, 3 weeks he's in there and he's already giving that to the genocide that's going on there? It's in your face when you take a stand back. And I'll say that about Elon Musk as well. He's never uttered one word about the Palestinian slaughter that's gone on there. Not one word. There's your tell, people, okay, that these people are bought and controlled. The object has always been to take down the United States. If they got to take down the whole monetary system in the world with it, so be it. The Federal Reserve dollar, it's like moving chairs in the Titanic. It's going down whether we like it or not. Cash is the best way to go, but we'll get into that in a little bit here and not Bitcoin. But let me play this video for you because this is important. You see Trump in this whole theater that's going on that he's putting out there right now in the world. It's very, very important. Let me just play this for you here. He's going over some of the things, then I'll ask you what he doesn't mention.
We have a very corrupt country. $42 million for Johns Hopkins, great place to research and drive social and behavior change in Uganda. $20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. $19 million for biodiversity conservation in Nepal. $1.5 million for voter confidence. We want to give them confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali.
Okay, so you get the gist there. He goes on for another 40 seconds, 50 minutes there or whatever. But at the end of the day, right, they're putting out there all of this money that absolutely is true, that this massive theft and fraud that's been going against the American people just didn't happen in the last few years, right? This has been going on for 100 years in the United States. They've always been stealing from the American people. What you've got to pay attention to, okay, is the big picture. He doesn't mention anything about all this money that he's talking about there. That doesn't add up to the trillions of dollars that's been given to Israel. How come he's not being questioned about that? He's talking about 25 million here, 500 million here. Who gives a shit? How about the $7.4 billion you just gave to Israel, Donald? Where did you get that from? Why are you giving it to those people? Oh, that's right. You're going to buy and turn this into a real estate development. You see, they give you all this fodder out here to give the impression that what they're doing is good. That has to happen regardless. But they are going to create, again, massive, 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 massive conflict within the United States, right? They're pushing for a civil war, and that's the only thing that's gonna turn this around. And that's the other problem that we have, if I can say this right now, okay? I'm totally against violence in this world, but at the end of the day, this evil that we're dealing with, it only understands the barrel of the gun. So let me give you this scenario. Millions of people wake up, millions of people, we take out this evil, right? Sure, there's gonna be people died. You know, blood of patriots, that's what freedom's based with. At the end of the day, we finally get it done. We finally wipe this evil out and stuff like that. How many people out there have the consciousness, the education to understand what we've been talking about here this evening, to understand the way forward? It doesn't exist out there. They're going to fall right back into that trap unless the bar is removed and the courts of justice are actually restored to by and for and we the people, and these governments are finally seen as service corporations and everything becomes transparent, right? That's not going to happen after a war, okay? The powers that be that instigate all these wars, they simply move the deck chairs again, and now they set it up for further annihilation, further destruction, further financial control over mankind. This is where this is going, okay? Part that's very interesting is this week, I heard Donald Trump, I meant to grab the short clip. It's funny, I did about 20 downloads of some other things, and they all disappeared on my computer. Interesting how that happened. Anyways, there was one of them where Donald Trump was going after Mark Rubin. Mark Rubin is the owner, he's a billionaire of the Mavericks. He didn't go after him directly, but Mark Rubin came out a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to play the clip that he played for him, and then Donald Trump this week just said, and I'm going to do something against all these billionaire, he didn't say Mark Rubin's name, he says all these billionaire sports team owners, right? He's hitting them with these massive fines or taxes, or he's pulling the rug out from underneath them. And this is why he did it, after what Donald Trump said about him. After what Mark Rubin said about him. Have a little listen to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn and buckle up because billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban just unleashed a verbal tsunami on Donald Trump. And let's just say, no one was safe. In an electrifying live interview, Cuban didn't just throw shade, he practically eclipsed the sun, leaving Trump's business record, political career, and even his infamous hairline in absolute ruins. Cuban, the Shark Tank mogul and owner of the Dallas Mavericks, wasted no time getting down to business, calling Trump's so-called success the greatest marketing scam of the century. Ouch. According to Cuban, Trump isn't a businessman. He just plays one on TV. The guy went bankrupt running a casino.
Now, what have I been telling everybody, right, for 4 years now, right? Donald Trump's Taj Mahal casinos went bankrupt, and Wilbur Ross came out and bailed them out. Who's Wilbur Ross? He's the henchman for the Rothschilds, for their bankruptcy division. See, he's owned and controlled by these people. Never forget that. Just wanted to play that for you here.
Cuban scoffed. A casino, that's like losing money selling air in a heat wave. But wait, folks, the hits kept coming. Trump University, a scam. Trump Airlines, a disaster. Trump steaks. Let's just say the only thing tougher than those cuts of beef is Trump's ability to dodge responsibility. If Trump's business career were a Shark Tank pitch, Cuban joked, I wouldn't just say I'm out, I'd call security.
And I couldn't agree more. And that's what I mean. The American people are so done up by, and Donald Trump, he's releasing, the JFK files after everybody's dead, right? Everyone's gone. They're not going to hold anybody accountable for this. Those of us that have been studying this for 20 years or more, we know exactly what's gone on. Well, here's the truth on actually who killed Kennedy that I've been telling people, right? Remember? The men who killed Kennedy. This was on the History Channel here, and it was a 10-part series. And they pulled out, when they went to release it on A&E the night before, they got threatened and they had to pull out 2 major sections of the video because it was really exposing Oswald and who actually did what to him. Well, have a listen to this because this is who ultimately it always goes back to, right? Israel, right? Mossad, these Zionists.
The Mossad killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben-Gurion. There's a very surprising series of letters between Kennedy and David Ben-Gurion, not only the Prime Minister of Israel, but the founder of Israel, in which they're very angry letters, in which Kennedy is saying to Ben-Gurion, I'm killing myself trying to get a nuclear test ban treaty. I've even got de Gaulle on board, and that's impossible. And you keep testing in Dimona. You've got to stop. And Kennedy threatens him. And he threatens him in such a way that Ben-Gurion resigns. And I will tell you, forget Lyndon Johnson, forget the CIA, forget Fidel Castro. The Mossad killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben-Gurion.
Yep, and that's the truth of it, people. Okay, I've been telling people about Dimona. Again, I sat with some pretty high-profile forensic accountants. They're Jewish. That back in the day with my father's pension case in Toronto, and we were talking. Whatever I said, well, when we got talking about things, they got into the Kennedy thing. I said Kennedy was assassinated because of the Dimona nuclear facility. They're like, what? What's the Dimona nuclear facility? I said, look it up. They looked it up right there on the computer. They go, we never knew this existed. That's right. See, Kennedy was going after Israel because they were developing and testing nuclear weapons at the Dimona nuclear facility all underground, right? They weren't supposed to be doing that, any of that. And that's what he threatened him. He says, you better open up that for inspection. He says, or we're going to come in there with the military. On top of Executive Order 11110, 4 ones and a 0, look it up. That's when JFK put the creation of money back in the hands of the United States Treasury, creating $4 billion of U.S. greenbacks. He took the power and creation of money away from the central bankers, the Zionist Jews. See? That's who killed Kennedy. That's who's always behind all of these deaths and destruction that's occurring in our world against the great people leaders like Muammar Gaddafi. What did Muammar Gaddafi do? He told the Federal Reserve to go pound sand. He says, you're not going to buy any of our gold anymore. The Federal Reserve note is not going to be recognized. You got to pay gold or silver for our oil, right? That's why they killed him, because they couldn't do that. They don't have enough gold and silver to do that for, right? That's what I'm saying. He who controls the money makes the rules. That's what, the Rothschilds said back in the 1600s or 600s. Anyways, I'll keep going here because it's, I'll tell you, it's multi-generational. It's not just the killing of presidents that they're doing in Israel, right? They're killing generations of people. It's sickening.
We looked at facts on the ground like the following. The way that bombings happened, large area bombs placed at night, killing multiple generations of Palestinians, children, infants, parents, grandparents. We looked at attacks on the infrastructure that would allow life to continue, farms, schools, hospitals, clinics. And what we saw was they were being attacked repeatedly, and we saw that they were being attacked after the IDF had taken control over them. There were no longer military threats, and they were being destroyed again. We looked at the nature of forced displacements, which were not, from our understanding, could not be justified for solely military purposes. People being moved again and again and again, and once they'd been moved, attacked where they'd been moved. Some people being moved up to 10 times. We looked at specific intentional acts that the Israeli military did, torturing, arbitrary detention, the way that they dehumanized the people that they were arresting, often without basis. And it wasn't one or two incidences. It was a constant pattern of these incidences. The same with aid, a pattern of using aid. And remember, this was a very fragile population to start with. And they were not allowing them to access the aid they needed simply to survive.
I'm going to show you something here that is actually really, really disturbing. Okay, just so you understand the magnitude of what's gone on against the Palestinian people. Okay, this shocked me when I read this. Israel has dropped more bombs on Gaza than the total bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Dresden and London combined. Let that sink in. More bombs than Gaza has ever dropped on Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Dresden, and London combined. 15,000 tons in Hiroshima, Nagasaki, 3,900 tons in Dresden, London 20,000 tons, in Gaza over 100,000 tons. I'll tell you, it's absolutely sickening, people. And it doesn't end there. You know, we have to show that the horrific war crimes, these people that they're capturing, these people aren't military. Right, here's a bodybuilder I'm going to show you here. Look at what they did to this bodybuilder in a very short time.
This was Palestinian bodybuilder Moazzaz Abayat before he spent 9 months in Israeli custody. And this is after. Abayat couldn't walk unaided after being released from incarceration in July. Then, in an October raid on his home, he was detained again.
You don't see any of the Jewish people that have been kept as hostages coming out like that. They were attacked with dogs. It's absolutely horrific, and it hasn't stopped there. What they just recently did is they've jailed a teenager now in Israel. Say no more, people. What did that teen look like to you? Maybe 13 at best? It's absolutely sickening. And all you're ever going to get from the United States, never forget this, it's kind of interesting how someone takes a picture sometime and it sort of reveals the truth, right? I couldn't say it any better than this with this picture. When the sign behind you has more honesty than you do, whitewashing, and that's exactly what they're doing worldwide, okay? They're whitewashing everything. They're using, again, the media has been so weaponized on so many levels right now. There is no accountability. Do you hear Trump going after Biden, right? For stealing the election, right? You don't see any of this stuff happening, right? You're seeing these other things going on about the waste or whatever. He's never going to go after the real criminals, the Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas, everyone that has acted in a presidential role since JFK has been corrupt to the core. And the American people better wake up, and better wake up fast. Like I say, I don't see this ending well, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, you know, and then everyone that's buying in all this Bitcoin stuff, right? This man here, he's a no shit kind of guy. Don't pay attention to his language or whatever, but he's a very brilliant man. And he knows, just like I know, who's behind Bitcoin, who set it up. It's China, right? And this is what I told people last year, that they're going to get everybody all switched over, all hot and horny for Bitcoin. And everyone's going to be spending all these thousands of dollars to get it or whatever, and then it's all digital currency. Then they're going to pull the plug on it. Well, this guy's a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire, and he's telling people, you better keep your money in cash.
Everything's cash. None.
Why no Bitcoins and why no cryptocurrency?
Well, Bitcoins, I called the top of the market in December 2017 when it was $19,600. I said, if you have Bitcoin, sell half, keep half. This is the top. Nobody listened to me. If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know. 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, and you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
One day.
And a microsecond, whoop, like that.
Then.
And sadly, I believe that man is correct, right? Like I said, the digital currency is getting everything away. None of that's backed by gold or whatever. Now, if they somehow are able to make something that if you have gold or whatever, then you get some type of a digital currency that is backed by assets such as gold or silver, well, then maybe something like that would work. But like I said, we're putting the cart way before the horse. Meanwhile, everyone around the world, we've been dealing with all the snow and stuff. I don't know if you saw this, but I'm asking everyone to go out there and start checking your snow, okay? Because this is very serious.
Yeah, and people say this is regular snow. Yeah, that's fire. I'm throwing freaking snowballs at it.
Scary stuff, people. Like I said, we got a lot of snow in the last couple of weeks here in Canada, and you should be going out there and melt the snow down if you can. I've showed other pictures. Actually, I didn't send it to you. I sent it to the gentleman in Switzerland there. There's people that were making snowballs, making it right in front of you there, and then they were putting a torch on it, and they couldn't melt these snowballs, right? That's what I'm saying. We are in a lot of trouble here in this world. We don't have a clue what's going on and what they're doing to us. We do start to understand and realize now, it's coming out now on a massive scale, of how we are being affected with all these nanotechnologies and everything that's being implemented, from breathing, from food to water. And like I say, it is going to get very, very scary and very, very ugly very, very soon. So having said that, I've only got one more clip here to show everybody. This kind of was interesting. I never knew about this. The City of the Dead in Iraq. For those of you that haven't seen it, this is pretty staggering.
Welcome to the City of the Dead, the largest cemetery in the entire world.
Do you know how many tombs or people are buried here? Just in this layer?
100,000.
Way more. It's 8 million at least. As far as you can see, this direction. It's still expanding.
I just wanted to share that with everyone because I never knew that existed. All the research that I've done for the last 30 years almost, and I never knew that there was a City of the Dead with 8 million people there. It's just interesting how that is their cemeteries that they have. It's just one big city, right? Absolutely incredible. I'll leave it on this note here, sort of an interesting note, sort of a funny note, but actually a dead serious note. This is how I felt for a very long time.
I want to tell you my secret now. I see dumb people walking around like regular people. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dumb. They're everywhere.
And that sadly is the truth that's all around us. I truly want to thank everybody for being here with me this evening. Like I said, knowledge is the key here, people. We've got an enormous tsunami of ignorance that's washing all over us every single day on multiple levels. And unless we stay on our square, like I teach everyone with the court, the square we must stay on is that COVID-19 was a lie. That's the very most powerful tool that the entire world can recognize with. And then we show everybody that accessing that public courthouse correctly outside of the bar, that's the way moving forward. You get the arrest warrants, you get people out. That's why I don't care what these monkeys that wear these police outfits or whatever, these little glorified mall cops think or do. They know that when they get a warrant that comes out from a courthouse, they have to roll. They have to act. So I don't really care what they think. When they get that warrant, they will go out and arrest these people that are involved in the genocide in this country, and hopefully that will be a light to this world to hold these people accountable. Again, I love you with all my heart. Thank you for being with me. God bless you. Don't shovel any more snow if you have to, and hopefully we'll see everybody here next Thursday at 8 p.m. God bless and Godspeed.
when I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You've come to fight as free men. And free men you are. What will you do with that freedom? Will you fight? Fight against that? No! We will run! And we will live. Aye. Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom! Fine speech. Now what do we do?
Just be yourselves.
Where are you going?
I'm going to pick a fight.
Well, we didn't get dressed up for nothing.